السيد يائير لابيد زعيم المعارضة في الكنيست الإسرائيلي، رئيس الوزراء السابق، وزير الخارجية الأسبق، أهلا بك في سكاي نيوز عربية.
Thank you for having me.
نحن محطة أخبار بالدرجة الأولى وبامتياز، فمن هنا لو تسمح لي أبدأ بالأخبار الحالة والأساسية التي تفرض نفسها الآن. السؤال الأول: هناك حديث وتسريبات حول إمكانية أن يكون هناك اتفاق بالنسبة للأوضاع في غزة، ويكون هناك إيقاف إطلاق نار لمدة 60 يوما، وهذا كله مرتبط بزيارة وزير الشؤون الاستراتيجية ثم بزيارة السيد رئيس الوزراء لواشنطن. كيف ترى إمكانيات السلام أو التوصل إلى الاتفاق في غزة؟
Right now there is a proposal on the table. It's an important one. It's a doable one. It is talking about it's a partial one because it's talking only about part of the hostages. They're talking about 10 hostages and 18 bodies, and a ceasefire for 60 days in which they will discuss the possibility of ending the war. The United States is pushing it. Israel has already agreed to the framework, and for me, sitting here, it's an opportunity to tell the Arab world, everyone who has influence, every Arab country, every country in the region should do its best to push Hamas to accept the agreement. It is for the good of the people of Gaza, it's for the good of the people of Israel, it's for the good of the hostages, of course, and it's also for the good of the entire region. So the region should do its best to push Hamas to accept the deal.
السؤال المباشر: هل هذا اتفاق لإيقاف إطلاق نار فقط، أم يصل إلى تسوية ممكنة تؤدي في النهاية إلى عدم العودة إلى الاحتراب والقتال مرة أخرى؟ ما يتسرب عن إسرائيل أنه إيقاف لإطلاق نار، تبادل محتجزين ومعتقلين، ثم في نهاية الأمر يحق لإسرائيل أن تقوم مرة أخرى بممارسة الأعمال العسكرية.
I'm reminding you what you know, that the war can be over in 24 hours if Hamas lays down its arms. It's a terrorist organization. It's very difficult and complicated to deal with a terrorist organization, and therefore it is a hard task. And yet again, we should not only aspire but work tirelessly towards the end of the war in Gaza. The war in Gaza is not doing anybody any good. We feel sorry for the people of Gaza. We have to make sure that the people of Israel are safe and secured, and we have to bring back the hostages. These are our goals. Hamas cannot rule Gaza. If Hamas rules Gaza, there will never be peace, nor to the people of Israel, neither to the people of Israel, nor to the people of Gaza. So we have to work towards a settlement that makes sure Hamas doesn't control Gaza. But we want peace. We didn't ask for this war. We didn't want this war. This war started with the massacre of our own people. It is not something we aspired for. And everyone in his right mind wants this war to end.
لكن السؤال الذي يطرح نفسه الآن: إذا كان يتردد دائما أنه تم القضاء على أكثر القوى الممكنة للقدرة العسكرية لحماس، فلماذا يستمر هذا الاقتتال؟ هذه النقطة. النقطة الثانية: كيف تبرر ل 400 مليون عربي أن يتم قتل أكثر من حوالي 700 شخص وحوالي 10,000 وهم لا يحاربون، ولكنهم يذهبون إلى أماكن من أجل الحصول على حفنة دقيق أو علبة زيت أو قليل من السكر، إنهم يذهبون للحصول على الطعام ولا يقاتلون إسرائيل، فلماذا يطلق عليهم النار وتتم هذه المجازر؟
I'm reminding you again what you know. the centers that are giving the supplies, the humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, were built by us. I mean, Israel is doing something that I don't think you saw before in the history of war, which is supplying food and medicine to the people you are fighting against. Because we care about the civilians, and of course we don't want to see anyone who's bystanders who lost the loss of life.
عفوا دعني أشرح لك أنه إن لم تخنك الذاكرة قبل أن تقوموا ببناء هذه المراكز تسمونها مراكز المساعدات ألغيتم دور الأونروا وكان دور فعال ومنجز. ثم النقطة الثانية أنه ما قمتم به تجاه هؤلاء المواطنين هو كميات محدودة جدا من الغذاء لا تكفي الحد الأدنى اللي هو 1200 كالوري في اليوم ليهم. يعني جعلتم حياتهم إما الموت بالرصاص أو الموت بالجوع.
The problem is Hamas is trying to take over the humanitarian aid. This would happen when the supplies were coming to the UNRWA sites. This was happening when the trucks were just moving in with supplies. Hamas took that, sold it for unbelievable price to the poor people of Gaza. What was happening was that the terror organization was using the humanitarian aid to regain power instead of giving it to the hungry in Gaza. If we don't want the hungry people in Gaza to eat and to be able to live, why is it that we're pushing inside Gaza all this humanitarian aid? Again, listen, I'm not sitting here as a representative of the Israeli government. I'm the leader of the opposition, as you said in the beginning. But on this, people on the right mind must acknowledge the fact that Hamas was trying to take over all the humanitarian aid. And again, they did what they are always doing, sold it in order to buy weapons. We are fighting Hamas. We are not fighting the people of Gaza. Hamas is the worst enemy of the people of Gaza, and we are fighting their worst enemy.
بس الذي يحدث أنه عدد ضحاياكم من حماس أقل بكثير من ضحاياكم للمدنيين. يعني 65 ألف مدني يدفعون ثمن خلافكم مع حماس. هؤلاء ليسوا بمحاربين. دعني أنقل إلى نقطة ثانية مهمة.
No. Just a second. Just a second, because I'm not willing to be this subject to be summarized like this.
Okay.
Part of the reason, or the biggest reason, for these people to die is because Hamas is using them as humanitarian aid. I fully agree that you expect more from us, Israel, a democratic country, in terms of the value of human life. But people have to understand, Hamas had the power to stop this war 2 years ago. The only thing they needed to do is to lay down their arms. We have no fight with the people of Gaza. Hamas is the one to be blamed for what happened, for the tragedy. And I do not argue with you. It is a tragedy. And this is a tragedy Hamas is to be blamed for.
دولة الرئيس جدة كما فهمت كان من ضحايا الهولوكوست، ووالدك كان في معتقل، وأنت في الفترة الأخيرة كنت تأخذ ابنتك إلى ملجأ تحت الأرض من أجل الصواريخ الإيرانية، فأنت تدرك معنى المعاناة. نرجو أنه ذات يوم حينما وأنت في المعارضة أو في رئاسة الحكومة أن تدرك أنه الجانب الإنساني في هذه القضية وليست القضية حق إسرائيل في الدفاع عن نفسها فقط، ولكن هناك بشر آخرين يتألمون.
I couldn't agree more. I keep talking about this not only here in English but also in Hebrew in the Israeli media. That human suffering is human suffering, and what we have learned in the Holocaust is not only the need to survive, but also the need to do anything we can, anything humanly possible to end human suffering. But we are also at the same time fighting an unbelievable machine of propaganda and of fake news that is blaming Israel for something that Hamas is doing on a daily basis. I'm saying, and you know what, the reason nobody is trying to contradict the first argument is because everybody understands it's true. If Hamas lays down their arms, there will be no suffering for the people of Gaza. We have no fight with the people of Gaza. We have the fight with a terror organization who has sworn to kill any Jew if we don't defend ourselves.
دعني أنقلك إلى جانب آخر، وهو ما تسرب أو ما نقل عن الرئيس الأمريكي ترامب في أنه يتمنى أن يكون هناك عفو على رئيس وزراء دولة إسرائيل في التحقيقات والمحاكمات الأخيرة. البعض يرى أن هذا تدخل في الدستور وفي القانون وفي النظام الداخلي وفي السيادة الوطنية الإسرائيلية. هل تتفق أم تختلف؟
Well, I feel a little uncomfortable discussing this on international television, but I will say this. Israel is a sovereign country. We have an independent judicial system. And I think, and I've said it before, that it's actually Prime Minister Netanyahu's duty to say thank you for the personal support, but on national level, we know how to deal with our own affairs.
هنا الجانب المهم، وأنا أقدر أنك لا تريد وأنت خارج إسرائيل أن تتحدث عن سياسة إسرائيل من الداخل وكأنك تهاجم رئيس الحكومة، رغم أنك في الكنيست لك جولات طويلة تهاجمه داخل الكنيست وبقوة وبشدة وبصرامة، يعني يصل إلى حد الصراخ والمتبادل بينك وبين أنصاره. لكن السؤال، لو كنت أنت رئيس الوزراء بعد 7 أكتوبر وحادثة 7 أكتوبر، باختصار ماذا كنت فعلت وماذا لم تكن تفعله؟ يعني what would you have done, what you would have not done?
Well, first of all, you're right about the shouting and fighting. I have to remind you the fact he's shouting back at me. We are bitter political rivals, and it's fine. It's part of being a vibrant and a vital democracy. What I think, I don't think if I was Prime Minister, something like October 7th would have happened. When I was Prime Minister, the borders were quiet, but this is another matter. I would probably react the same in terms of getting the Israeli Defense Army into Gaza in order to eliminate Hamas's military powers. But from day one, I will do one thing differently, which is try to push forward an alternative government in Gaza. The problem in Gaza, Hamas stays because Israel failed to work with the Arab world, by the way, on an alternative governing body in Gaza. I presented the plan in Washington and then in other places, including here, to work with Egypt to take the lead. Egypt governed Gaza, as you might remember, from 1948 to 1967. Egypt has a history of fighting Muslim Brotherhood, which is you and I know this is not Islam. And Egypt knows how to fight terror, and of course, it's the biggest country around us, and the leader in the Arab world. So along with the Emirates, along with the Saudis, I thought we should push forward an alternative governing body.
كان مؤتمر أنت صاحب مبادرته، وهو مؤتمر النخب الذي حضر فيه 6 وزراء، وكان أثناءه لو تتذكر عملية إرهابية، وصدر بيان من كل المجتمعين بأنه إدانة جماعية لهذا، ووضح أن هناك معسكر للسلام في الشرق الأوسط. هل هذا التجمع وهذا المنتدى رغم كل هذه الأحداث له مستقبل الآن؟
So I think this conference was doing the right thing in discussing the day after in Gaza. This is what we need to discuss. As long as we don't discuss the day after in Gaza and who's going to govern Gaza, there will be no solution in Gaza. I thought, and I told so to the Egyptians, that their solution, which is an ambitious one, might be doable, but we're going to need an interim stage. And this interim stage, I think Egypt should take the lead. But the fact that they were talking about the Palestinian Authority as somebody who can take lead on this, I understand the motives, but I thought it was a little detached from reality because I don't think the Palestinian Authority has the abilities necessary for governing something as complicated and explosive as Gaza these days. They hardly can do it in the West Bank, let alone in Gaza. So I think there must be an interim stage, and I think in this interim stage, Egypt should take the lead in governing Gaza and helping the rehabilitation and reconstruction of Gaza.
يتحدثون الآن في إسرائيل وفي الولايات المتحدة عن دخول لبنان وسوريا في السلام الإبراهيمي. السؤال: كيف يمكن أن تقنع حكومة سوريا وحكومة لبنان بعقد سلام مع إسرائيل بينما إسرائيل تحتل 450 كيلومتر داخل الأراضي السورية مؤخرا، وتحتل 5 نقاط في جنوب لبنان أيضا مؤخرا؟ يعني أي سلام ممكن أن ينضموا إليه وأراضيهم محتلة؟
Well, there's a question there. These are two very different stories. I mean, the story of Syria and the story of Lebanon. So in Syria, one can argue whether or not the Golan Heights are occupied territories. Israel now controls the Golan Heights way longer than the Syrians ever did. And actually, it is an opportunity to try and figure out a way to have an agreement, a future agreement with the new Syrian government that everybody is looking at, trying to understand the nature of this government without discussing the Golan Heights. They have other issues. They have a whole country to rebuild. They're going to need the help of the world. They're going to need cooperation and not conflict. And I know President Trump has made the decision already to lift the sanctions from Syria. I thought it was the right move because we have to let them have a clean beginning. And I think it will be better, Syria will be better off to say, we're taking off the table this subject of the Golan Heights that made it impossible for generations and decades to sign an agreement in Israel and move forward signing this agreement. This is a country that is totally demolished, that needs rebuilding. They don't need new conflicts. They need new alliances and new treaties. And we wish them well. We have no fight with the new Syrian regime. In Lebanon, I'm just finishing the question you asked. Okay. In Lebanon, there is a positive move. I mean, since the conflict we have with Hezbollah, that the new government is saying, we understand now there will be no governance in Lebanon unless there will be no military bodies that are independent, meaning Hezbollah should lay down their arms in order to let Lebanon control its own destiny, which we of course support.
الآن ما حدث من حرب 12 يوم بين إيران وإسرائيل يبدو أن هي الحالة التي نحن فيها الآن هي هدوء مقابل هدوء. هل تعتقد أن الأمر على حافة إما أن ينزلق مرة أخرى إلى مواجهة عسكرية أم الجزء الأصعب والأخطر قد مر ومن الممكن الآن التوصل إلى اتفاق ما بين الأطراف برعاية أمريكية؟
I hope and I think that the military part of this conflict is over, at least partly due to the fact that the Middle East has got a reminder to the fact that Israel is the regional military superpower and capable of doing things no one else can. Probably the war in Gaza made people forget this. And I think, of course, an agreement with Iran is both doable and important as long as
ممكن بالنظام الحالي أم ممكن بنظام آخر.
Listen, this regime is the enemy of the region and the enemy of the Iranian people. And we have no fight with the Iranian people. Since biblical times, the Jews and the Persians were in good terms. but this is not for us to determine who's going to run Iran. It's for the Iranian people. What we need is an agreement that includes 5 terms. No uranium enrichment, taking out the enriched uranium they already have, dismantling all the centrifuges, making sure the weapon group and the ballistic missile program is dismantled. And of course, this might be about, after what we've learned, the most important thing, unlimited supervision of Iran's nuclear program, because they're lying and deceiving and cheating and trying to develop nuclear bombs behind the back of the world, and this, of course, cannot be tolerated. I think after this conflict of 12 days, the world and the Middle East are safer places.
دولة رئيس الوزراء، سؤالي الأخير، أنت الآن في زيارة لأبو ظبي، كيف تقيم علاقاتك الشخصية بالمسؤولين في الإمارات، وكيف يمكن أنه تلعب دولة الإمارات دورها المستمر بشكل إيجابي في تحقيق السلام في المنطقة؟
First of all, to me, the Emirates is the cornerstone of the Abraham Accords and the possibility for a different future for the Middle East. And I have very good relationship with the people in control here in the Emirates, especially with Abdullah bin Zayed, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed, who's a personal friend of mine, the foreign minister, and the smartest guy I know in the business. You know, the business I'm in, he's always been the smartest guy I know. And but this goes beyond personal. This is the future. People who are capable of speaking instead of fighting, people who are capable of surviving terrible times like the one we have now in Gaza, and people who are willing to throw behind their backs all the hatreds of the past, because we care more about our children than the fights of former generations. And the reason I'm saying that the Emirates is the cornerstone of this is because they were the first ones to say, you know what, the basic stone of this building is tolerance, is the ability to listen to people you disagree with, is the ability to understand how to create a society bottoms up in terms of the ability to look at people and their lives and their needs, and to look at sometimes at former foes and enemies and other countries, and to understand them before you try to dictate to them what needs to be done. I've learned valuable lessons in this here in the Emirates in former visits, and this is why I'm always very happy to come back.
زعيم المعارضة الإسرائيلية رئيس الوزراء السابق وزير الخارجية الأسبق يائير لابيد، شكرا لوقتك الذي منحتنا إياه.
شكرا. Thank you very much.